So I'm not sure if any of you have seen the movie Everest. If you haven't, it's not for the faint-hearted, but it is an interesting movie documenting, based on a true story, I don't know how factual it is, but based on a true story, of this era when scaling Mount Everest became almost like a tourist attraction. So a lot of climbers from around the world were trying to go. But again, all sorts of issues. Apparently from the time when Edmund Hillary went up, when he scaled Mount Everest, in the 40 years afterwards, the only people who tried it were top-notch professional climbers, and 1 in 4 died. So when it became kind of more popular, I'm not sure when the movie's based, is the 90s maybe, but a lot more people wanted to go up, and there were kind of tour companies arranging to bring people up. This particular movie then shows how it all went terribly wrong, basically, because the weather changes so quickly at that altitude with winds and storms and clouds and snow coming in very, very quickly. All of the various tour groups all have to wait until the weather is right, and then when it's good to go, all they go together. But it's not like there's a motorway going to the top, so you've got these narrow paths that are congested with ropes and other people you can't move until they move. Anyway, so it can get very, very dangerous, but let's not get lost in the detail, Father Patrick. So moving on. So I found it fascinating because there were a couple of quotes that really struck me during the movie. One of them is that at the beginning, the main organizer explains to his people, explains to his little tour group. He says, so once we get past this particular camp here, once we get above 8,000 meters, your body starts to die. So the summit is 8,800. But once we get past 8,000 meters, if you stay there just doing nothing, you're dying. Because there's so little oxygen up there that your cells start to die. Now, if you get up, get to the summit and get back down, you're grand. They'll regenerate or come back to life or whatever it is. But if you stay there, if you stay above 8,000 meters, the body is not designed to live at the cruising altitude of a 747, is the line he uses. You're not designed to live there. So everyone who has gotten above 8,000 meters and back down, for that period, you're dying. Your cells are shutting down due to lack of oxygen. And then someone asked the question, why do we do this? You know, why do we scale this? Why do we risk so much? And another person answers, because it's there. And I just thought, well, it's something in the human heart or mind that wants a challenge, that wants to be able to say, you know, I'm one of the few people that did it. I loved that it's a very kind of a difficult movie towards the end, because obviously they start. Okay, I won't ruin the story, but let's just say not everyone makes it back. But it got me thinking. I was just thinking and praying this morning about this idea of determination, right? In order to achieve goals, some of them as lofty maybe as climbing Mount Everest, or even anything maybe more tangible, more daily, anything even simpler, like just maybe getting a college degree or starting a family or starting a business, or then even kind of, dare I say, more important things, but things that seem smaller, like overcoming a certain vice, growing in your prayer life. Like these are smaller challenges, and yet require grit and determination. I think when it comes to spiritual things, we often think, yeah, just kind of, if I just kind of sit here and just soak in the peace, you know what I mean, just kind of say inner peace. Just, Lord, you do your thing, okay? I'm just going to sit here and let you do it. And after 2 years, you're like, yeah, I just don't know. Prayer life, it's just not really changing. It's not really. I feel like I'm the same. I haven't really grown in 14,000 years. I'm just going, yeah. I mean, it's not. I'm not getting worse, and you see, because I think when it comes to spiritual things, we forget that often the same principles apply that you would apply to anything else. Growing in your ability to play guitar requires practice. Growing in your prayer life requires practice and determination. Do you know, like I say, we've got these goals of greater or lesser importance, but that we're willing to get determined and get stuck into. But then I think there are more important things when it comes to our spiritual life, because these are the things then that we're investing in all eternity. And we forget that that same kind of determination needs to be applied. I remember we were going on a little tour with some of our seminarians there when I was in seminary, and one of our German seminarians, he had these I don't know how would you describe? You know, they're push-up little U-bar things. Yeah. So basically, when you when you hit the ground, you have to go down even. You can go down even deeper. So it makes your pecs enormous. That's what it's all about, really. You know. Okay. So everywhere we went, he'd bring them. You know, everywhere we'd go, he'd bring them. And then, you know, first thing in the morning, he's like, and doing his little exercises over in the corner. But like grit and determination. Determination. Every day he did this, or every second day, or a day and then a rest day. But determination. I want this goal, and I'm willing to do these things to get there. So when it comes to our prayer lives, when it comes to our relationship with the Lord, when it comes to our daily walk with the Lord, I think it's a fair question to ask, have we any determination? Do we even think we're supposed to be determined? Or do we just say, yeah, sure, look, it'll just kind of sort itself out in time, you know what I mean? It's just all grace, it's just grace. It's true that God, obviously, we need God's grace, but from our side, our necessary input, do we see the need to engage in that with determination? Or do we just kind of let it happen? So I think I was talking to someone last night, and they had a revelation, as such, not in the mystical sense, but in the self-knowledge sense, that they discovered there was something from their past that was really, if you will, haunting them. It was a memory from the past that was just really holding them back. And we've gotten close to this point before, but never as clearly, where they were able to say, this thing happened and I felt awful. I obviously won't go into any details. But I thought, okay, I think we have to stay with this. You're after saying this out loud. This is incredible. Because if I'm honest, I knew this was the case for years, but there's no point me knowing it. You have to know it. You have to be able to say, you know, this thing happened and it was traumatic. Okay, but now that you've said it, let's not run away from it. Let's stay with it. And with determination, daily, on a daily basis, bring this to the Lord for healing. Bring this to the Lord for acceptance. Bring this to the Lord for the grace that you need to overcome it. And not forget about it, because you can't delete a memory, but you can learn to move on. Your life doesn't have to be anchored to the ground just because you experienced this trauma. You can still learn to put up the anchor and get on with your life without forgetting what happened. It doesn't have to rule your life. But it requires determination, otherwise we'll go back to what we've always done. I'm just used to burying it, I'm used to forgetting about it, used to just put it back in the closet and close up the door. But then life will continue as it has been for the last 15 years. You know, a cycle of depression, and then maybe kind of fake happiness, and then all of this. So it requires determination. Our spiritual lives require determination. Our even overcoming our psychological problems, our memories, all these things, that requires determination. And in today's world, that can be difficult, because there's a real tendency to, well, I clicked twice and it didn't arrive, so I don't know. So if we want immediate gratification. If it doesn't come, it's too hard. Yeah, I mean, you've only prayed one rosary that took 15 minutes. It's going to take a little more than that, like daily. Someone that I trust asked me to do something which requires determination and consistency of me, which I'm finding very useful and very interesting and very helpful. So I'm learning these things as well. So today, as we think of, I was going to tie that into the readings, but I don't think we have time. Okay, one line, sorry, okay. Okay, St. Paul says you should make every part of your body into a weapon fighting on the side of God. then sin will no longer dominate your life. Like, that requires determination. You should turn every part of your body into a weapon fighting on the side of God. Then sin will no longer dominate your life. That's determination, right? So this is what I want to do. My whole body, everything that I am, body, soul, and mind, I want to give everything to the Lord. And I start that today with the actions that I will choose. As soon as Mass ends, you choose whether you do Thanksgiving or not. You choose how you drive home. You choose what you do with your morning. You choose how you greet people. You choose everything. Most things. We do not choose the weather in Ireland. Otherwise, we would not have chosen a day like today. We choose, but we do choose, and I choose everything I do. I can't choose my environment. I can't choose what happens in my environment. I can choose what I do. I can choose what I say. I can choose the words that come out of my mouth. So, do so with love. And then in our own prayer lives, with determination. Lord, what is the next thing I need to do? If it's prayer of the heart, or if it's a prayer with maybe increased quantity or quality, what is it? Is it a prayer with more silence? Is it a prayer with more contemplation? Is it a prayer where we focus more on forgiveness? Or is it a prayer where we focus more on God as Father? Whatever it may be, I mean, people have different next steps. There isn't one recipe for all. Whatever that is, get stuck in. Whatever that is, do it. Don't just think about it. Do it. And then we begin to see growth. And then once we've that step done, we look back and go, my goodness, can't believe I was back there for so long. But then the next step will become apparent. And then you'll take that with the help of God, and you look back and you go, gee, I can't believe I was there for so long. And then we keep moving. And then like this, our faith becomes ever just fresher, more joyful, more alive, because it's living, it's growing, it's deepening. So we ask the Lord to help us today to understand and to know what our next step is. And then once we have identified it, that we will get stuck into it with determination. Always, of course, relying on that beautiful truth that St. Paul expresses to us in his letter to the Philippians. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.